It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. I would never do that. It's a Teaching Tutorial Thursday, our final brand new episode of the week. Although, listen, you can go back and listen to Andrew Brandt from Monday, Greg Cosell from Wednesday. They were fantastic. The Even Money podcast with Warren Sharp this week, going over the NFL schedule inequities, is a must listen or watch over youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Fantasy Feast. On Wednesday, we went over the wide receiver rankings for the rookies. Very important, especially for best ball over at DraftKings. It's also the last show of the week, which means we got winners.
I want winners. I want people that want to win.
So if you're new to the show, most of you know this already, but if you're new, we like to reward those of you that do things to help spread the word about what we're doing here, like Alex Leak, who quote tweeted at Ross Tucker Pod on Twitter. Thank you, Alex. Send me an email, ross@rosstucker.com. Let me know if you want to sign press pass or picture or football card, whatever you want. I got it for you. The sponsor confirmation email winner, how about Chris Smith? He bought himself some Raycon earbuds. Huge fan, by the way, of the Raycon earbuds. Highly encourage you to get them. We got discounts on all these things on the sponsor page over at rosstucker.com. And then the YouTube shout out is just someone that subscribed to our youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Hit the thumbs up. You're not paying anything. And then made a comment. And that's Devion Rogers. Devion, let me know who you'd like the shout out video for. I do like a cameo style video for whoever the winner is. Really excited, by the way. Going to be joined momentarily by Drue Tranquill, the newest member of the Kansas City Chiefs. It's almost weird to say that because Drew was a linebacker for the Chargers, his whole career so far. Then in free agency, he goes to the Chiefs, division rivals. I know a little bit about that when I went from being in Washington to a Cowboy in a day, but excited to talk with Drew about the new chapter in his life. Kind of like if you can't beat him, join him type of deal there with the Chiefs. But first, I know what a lot of you are thinking. It's spring. Summer's almost here. What are we going to do to make the house nicer? A lot of you are focused on the outside. What about the inside? What about doing what I did, which is get 2 new bath shower areas upstairs in my house? So one of them for my daughters is just a shower area. It is unbelievable how much nicer it is than what was in there. Our house was built in 98, so it was fine. It was like your typical, I don't know what kind of fiberglass tub shower deal. Now it looks like it's like $1 million. It's beautiful. It looks like a 5-star hotel. It's amazing. And they love the bathtub as well. The thing that's wild to me, as you look at like other projects, talk to other people, they did it all in one day. They tore out 2 old bathtubs, shower areas, and installed 2 new ones in one day. Here's what's amazing. You can get a free installation on a new shower or bath replacement with West Shore Home just by going to westshorehome.com/Ross. So you can see the showers you can see the before and after at my house. I say the proof is in the pudding. And you can get a free estimate. So why not at least just go see what they did to my house and see if it's something you'd be interested in. Go to westshorehome.com/Ross today to lock in this amazing offer. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
As promised, we are joined by the newest member of the Kansas City Chiefs, linebacker Drue Tranquill. Drew, you just spent 4 years with the Chargers. How does that sound? Is that weird yet for someone to introduce you as a member of the Chiefs?
Ross, I'll tell you, when my wife flew into Kansas City to do our signing, I walked in the practice facility and I was like, I got to say, this feels weird, man. Like, I've walked in the same building for 4 years and here I am, arguably in our biggest rival's facility. But man, we're just excited for this new chapter. It's going to be great.
It's funny that you say that because my rookie year, I was with the Redskins And I grew up outside of Philly, so I grew up an Eagles fan. So I'm with the Redskins, and I thought it was like college. So I got somehow I got a Redskins helmet sticker, and I put it on the back of my 1990 Jeep Cherokee because I hadn't even bought a car yet. And that was cool until the Redskins cut me, and I got picked up the next day on waivers by the Cowboys. So you want to talk about rivals, dude, like Redskins to Cowboys. So I mean, I hope you don't have as many stops as I do. You see all the helmets behind me, but you'll get over that pretty quick. You really will.
Ross, I gotta ask, Ross, did you remember to take the sticker off your car before you pulled into the Cowboys facility?
Great question. And the answer is, on my way to training camp, my second year, literally driving to training camp because it was in PA, my 1990 Jeep Cherokee broke down. So my mom comes on the highway, and I don't know what she did. I forget what she did, but she stayed there with my car because I was going to be late for training camp. I hopped in my mom's little sedan. I drove to training camp, and it was Spurrier. It was 2002. I was starting. I started every preseason game. So I bought a Denali. And I did not put the Redskin sticker on the back of the Denali. But what's funny is I'm starting, then I have a bad game. Halfway through the year, they cut me to put me down on practice squad, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just bought this car. Thankfully, the Cowboys picked me up on waivers, which is wild because there's no state income tax in Texas. So I was actually making $1,500 more. I was getting fired is awesome. You actually make more money the next team you go to. It's pretty funny.
Yes. Let's go. Yeah, that's one thing I won't miss. I won't miss the LA taxes.
Unbelievable. All right, so let's talk about free agency. I mean, you get drafted by the Chargers. You're there for 4 years. Then you hit free agency. Was it better, worse? About what you thought it would be, or what was maybe more different than you thought it would be going into it?
Yeah, I gotta say, I was a little surprised the Chargers didn't want to bring me back. There were people in the building that really wanted me back, and there were a few people that wanted to move on. And business is business, but when you give 4 years so hard to an organization and it doesn't feel reciprocated, that's hard. And so I think, to answer your question, maybe it was a little harder on my wife and I. We had 3 kids out in LA. We were hoping to stay out there. Didn't pan out. And, later in the week, the Chiefs were adamant all week. They really wanted me. They had to figure out the tackle position with Orlando Brown leaving. And I think just the championship culture there, the coaching staff, when you talk about Super Bowl winning coaches, Brendan Daly, our linebackers coach, he's done it in New England, done it with the Chiefs. And so we were really, really excited. Waited longer than we thought. The linebacker market was just very saturated. A lot of guys, a lot of free agents, but man, so excited talking to Andy Reid, talking to the linebackers coach, talking to Brett Veach. They're stoked to have me. They really wanted me, really pursued me hard. And, we're excited to be Chiefs.
So appreciate everything you just said and the way you handled it. I got to be honest with you, man. It's a head scratcher for me. It's 2 years in a row where it seems like the Chargers want to get rid of anybody in the front 7 that they can. I mean, the year before, they let Nwosu go. They don't bring back Linval Joseph. I have no idea what happened with Jerry Tillery. I think I'm missing a guy or two. And now this year with you, White. What's that?
Kaiser White.
Yeah, that's because so I do the Eagles preseason games, and I do their pregame on the radio. Kaiser White. Do you have any explanation for that? What is it about the Chargers that they really do not like any of the guys, it seems like, that are in the front 7? To me, it's just bizarre. I mean, Kaiser White, let him in tackles. Nope. I mean, Nwosu's really good. I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was, with Chenna, I don't know if just Staley's connection with Khalil and Chicago and bringing him in opposite Joey. Obviously, Khalil's a Hall of Fame player. The Kaiser situation, I really can't explain. Maybe, we had a 3-man rotation kind of going that year between Kaiser, myself, and Kenneth. I don't know if they were just comfortable with myself and Kenneth, but then This year, Tom Telesco made it very clear to me, in our exit interview that I was going to be a top priority. Tom was very adamant throughout the process. He was like, you're everything I wanted in a Charger. And so it was my first encounter with the business side of football where, teams have a budget and, they brought back Trey Pipkins on the offensive line. Kind of were not as active in free agency, spent a lot of money last year. And so I think maybe a little bit victim of circumstance, but yeah, I don't think I'll ever know the full story. Kind of who, didn't really want me there or kind of wanted to move on, but it is what it is. And you got to move on. You got to get back into driver's seat.
Yeah. I mean, if it's any consolation, man, you're 27. And by the time I was 27, I was the only Princeton grad who had been fired 4 times. So you still haven't been fired. You were there for 4 years. You had a great run there. Now you're a free agent. Now you're going to the Super Bowl champs. Because that's the other thing, man. Like, you're guaranteed almost to make some playoff money, to play in big games, to have more people seeing what you're doing. And we've seen that. We've seen what that means for guys like Juju Smith-Schuster last year and others. There's value in going to a team that has success, plays a lot of primetime games, and being able to go out there and play well. I mean, is there part of you kind of hinted at this, Drew, but is there part of you that's like almost like if you can't beat them, join them?
I don't know so much that, but I'm just stoked because the linebacker room, is incredible. When you look at the guys across the board, Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, Leo Chenal, Cole Christensen, man, it's just a deep room. There's a lot of guys that can really play some ball. I know I'm missing a couple of the guys. I'm looking forward to meeting them all here in a couple of days, but just from the coaching staff to the personnel, I think when I look at my story at Notre Dame, when I chose Notre Dame over Purdue, it's a very similar story in that, Brett Veachett and Andy Reid's message was, Drew, there's no promises here. We love you as a player. We love what you're able to do. You're super versatile. You're a total linebacker, can do it all. But we got a lot of great players here, and you're going to have to come in here and earn your way again. And it was kind of the same message when I chose Notre Dame over Purdue. Purdue was like, hey, you'll come in here, you'll play right away. Notre Dame was like, hey, you're going to have to earn your way. And if I've learned anything in my story, it's when I surround myself with people that are as good or better than I am, I always end up coming out better on the other end. And I think the ultimate goal for me is I want to be the best football player that Drue Tranquill can be. And I felt like being with the Kansas City Chiefs, out of all the teams that made a push for me in free agency, gave me the best chance to do that.
It's interesting because I have 2 questions about your health that I want to get to when we return here to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. All right, so Drew, 2 things I want to get into. It's really weird. You had an unbelievable career at Notre Dame. You just played 4 years in the Chargers. Yet when I think of you, and I bet you get this all the time, one of the first things I think about is the Notre Dame torn ACL. Like, do people bring that up to you all the time? And why is it? Like, it's not like you're the only guy that's ever torn an ACL. It just, for some reason, it got so much attention, I remember.
Yeah. I couldn't escape it early on in my career at Notre Dame. And a big part of me was like, man, is this really how people are going to remember me? I think it was the circumstances a little bit of how it happened, tearing 2 ACLs within 8 months. And then the second one coming during a celebration after a huge play and arguably the best game I had in my career thus far at Notre Dame. I think it was a bit the circumstances and just how it happened, back to back in 8 months. But I'm just so thankful to the Lord for giving me the strength and renewing my strength daily to come back from that. And it parallels my story in the NFL. I get the starting job my second year, much like I had my second year at Notre Dame, and I end up, dislocating my ankle, 5 plays into that second season in the NFL. So a lot of parallels in my story, but I'm so thankful for the medicine and how far it's come because, ACLs 20, 30 years ago, that was a death sentence for your career. And now, guys are able to come back, healthier and stronger.
So it's interesting because the way we kind of got connected is I've noticed you and other guys. I feel like it's most notable for some reason with Dalton Schultz. Cowboys are on primetime every week, and Dalton Schultz always has that neck thing. And I think I tweeted something like, what is that neck thing? Because they definitely didn't have that, when I was playing. And so I got in touch with the company, or they got in touch with me and talked to me about some of the other guys that were using it, such as yourself. And they said, would you be interested in interviewing any of them? I said, I would love to interview Drue Tranquil. That'd be awesome. Because I kind of had seen you get interviewed before and knew your story from Notre Dame and just knew that you would be this type of young man when I spoke to you. Tell me about the next thing. I should have this in front of me, but I don't even know the name of the company. I do know, though, that it's supposed to do something helping you with concussions, correct?
Yeah. And I mean, it's a huge conversation, right? In football and in other collision sports is, brain health and how do we protect athletes' brains all the way from peewee all the way up into the pros. And, we see the big cases like what happened, with the Dolphins and Tua this year where, guys are getting up and wobbling. But, I think what Q30 Technologies and Q Collar in specific is trying to do is, the research is showing that it's more the subconcussive head impacts over time, the repetitive head impacts, the repetitive head trauma over time that leads to these things like CTE and these degenerative conditions later on down the road. And so, what Q-Collar is doing, and no, it's not a cooling device. I got asked that throughout training camp. Hey, man, is that like a cooling device for your neck? I'm like, no, it's actually protecting my brain and does something called jugular compression. So what it does is adds blood volume in your head right before impact. And it's a slight pressure around the neck. Takes about 1 to 2 weeks to getting used to. But after that, just became kind of part of my uniform. And I got to say, Ross, I wore it at Notre Dame and reached back out to them before the beginning of this season. And just really, really encouraged and excited by how I felt, after this season. Didn't experience as much of the fog and I guess the dizziness that sometimes you probably know and are familiar with after Sundays. And so it's just, I think it's top of the line innovative technology that's kind of, not so much saying what can we put outside of an athlete or on an athlete, but what can the body actually do for itself. And so it's really cool, interesting technology, and I'm excited, and hopefully more athletes will continue to wear it. I think it's top of the line and the best in its class.
That's cool. I think it actually looks pretty cool, to be honest with you. And
Right?
not that that's why guys wear it, but there's certain things you wear and you're like, really? But I think it actually looks pretty sweet. And it's funny because I'm really good friends with the president and CEO of the Concussion Legacy Foundation, Chris Nowinski. He was a D tackle at Harvard when I was playing at Princeton. So I raise money for the Concussion Legacy Foundation up in Boston and all the CTE stuff twice a year, once in the fall and then once in May I do a walk. So I'm heavily involved in it. I had short arms, man. So my move, anytime I ever went to a linebacker, as you can tell, as I'm filling up this screen, my move was to headbutt them so they would like blink a little bit. And then I would get my arms in there and just grab them. And I'm probably screwed, but you know what I can do? I can try to raise money and do the best I can to help them. They've come a long way. They're getting closer and closer to being able to identify it in living people, which would be huge, because once you can do that, then you can try medicines to slow it down. Once you have medicines that can slow it down, well, then all the big pharma companies will come out of the woodwork and put the research and development in to really try to knock this thing out. And hopefully not too late for guys like me and you. Drew, I really appreciate the time. I'm fired up for you and what you got going on in Kansas City. I didn't know you already had 3 kids and everything. That's wild. That's one thing. My girls are 9 and 11, and they know I played football and stuff. And the cool thing for me is every year in school, Drew, until this upcoming season, they've been able to tell all the boys that their daddy was teammates with Tom Brady, which is amazing. Like, gave both them and me immediate street cred, at the start of every school year. But they never actually got a chance to watch. How old's your oldest?
He'll turn 4 at the end of May. So we had all 3 of them during our time with the Chargers. My wife was 38 weeks pregnant when we flew out here. Didn't have a rental house, didn't have nothing. Packed a U-Haul, had my buddies drive it. We land, find a rental place, and have a baby 2 weeks later. So our oldest Eli, then we got Grace, and Mackenzie was born this past November. So
congratulations.
It's chaotic.
That's amazing. And I love that at least the older one will be able to remember, seeing daddy in his helmet and as a football player. And hopefully they all will. Hopefully you play 10 more years. Where can people find you, Drew, if they want to follow you on social media?
Follow me on Twitter at D Tranquil. You can follow me on Instagram at Drue Tranquil. And then they can go listen to my show, The Drue Tranquil Show, available on all the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, iPodcasts, you name it.
Dude, I didn't know you had your own show already. Why have I not been on that thing?
So I did it with having our third daughter. I've kind of put it on hold and with free agency this year. But, man, I had 10 really interesting conversations last year. My thing was, I feel like people just know athletes. They can kind of become just like this kind of superhero effect where it's almost like they're not human. And my thing was, I want people to know the people kind of behind the helmet, behind the jersey. So I interviewed surfers, I interviewed pro football players, coaches, and the thing was really for fans and people to get to know the human being kind of behind it all. So was kind of telling people stories, but there's a lot of really cool stories you can go listen to on that. YouTube, you name it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Hey, blessings, Ross. Best of luck to you.
Absolutely love that conversation with Drue Tranquil almost as much as I love getting awesome deals over at GameTime. It's so good. I mean, GameTime, you look right now, like these NBA conference finals, the tickets are not that expensive. I mean, I've been looking up some concerts. You can even get Taylor Swift concerts this weekend in Foxborough at Gillette. Here's what I love about it. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. So you basically have the guarantee. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use code Ross, then you get $20 off your first purchase. So you already are guaranteed it's the lowest price. Then you get $20 off when you create an account and redeem code Ross. Download the GameTime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Tux Takes.
All right, Ross, we'll start with EA Sports is allowing college players to opt into next year's college football game.
Why would you not opt into that? It was my favorite video game ever. Played it every second in college when we shouldn't be. And I think my junior year, I was actually in it. For some reason, they put the Ivy League in it. It was amazing, except my agility was like terrible. But that was so cool, man. Being like a college junior and you're in a video game, it was awesome.
The Falcons cut offensive lineman Jermaine Ifedi. Steelers cut cornerback Akello Witherspoon. They signed wide receiver Hakeem Butler. And the Ravens signed center Sam Mustipher.
Right, so teams now post-draft, post-minicamp, seeing what they have with some of their rookies, realize, we better get another O-lineman in here like Mustipher, or we don't need Ifedi. Get rid of him. We don't need Witherspoon. Get rid of him.
The Vikings removed Dalvin Cook from all their social media banners, while Devontae Adams had some notable comments about the Raiders' offseason moves.
Well, just strange. The Vikings Dalvin Cook thing is strange. Why would you do that until there's a transaction? Why would you want to increase this speculation other than they're trying to get him to take a pay cut and they release this info? I don't know. And Devontae Adams, multiple comments about, not loving what the Raiders are doing. Yikes.
40 coaches will take part in the NFL Accelerator program this weekend.
So I'm glad we're highlighting this, Jack, because I just want people to know, these are all diverse candidates, women, minorities. They're trying. They can't ultimately make the decisions for the owners. The owners have to make the decision as to who they hire. But the NFL is absolutely trying to create more high-qualified, diverse candidates, just like I'm trying pretty much every episode to get you guys to buy Labatt Blue Light. It is delicious. It is the weekend. In the summer, starting this weekend, Thursday nights is when the weekend starts. So drink some Labatt Blue Lights with your friends. Live life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Beer, Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York. I hope each and every one of you has an absolutely phenomenal weekend. If you missed some of the other shows, you can still catch up on them now. We will be bright and early with you Monday morning with an awesome surprise guest. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, rosstucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
Not totally done, though, because I always give some shout-outs to some businesses I'm a huge fan of, like myfrontpagestory.com. A lot of anniversaries coming up. My wife and I have one on Sunday. Then you've got, of course, what we've got going on for Father's Day before you know it. It's exactly a month away from Father's Day. So get them an awesome story at myfrontpagestory.com. Then you got backofficescheduler.com, Evergreen Economics, go-bangles.com, steakhousesports.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, and Pizza Boy Brewing. Now I think we're done here.